On September 11th, 2001, I was working in the United States Senate. So I was working in Washington, D.C. And I will never forget that day. It was a beautiful fall day in D.C., crystal clear blue sky. And I was working for Senator Kennedy. I was his Judiciary Committee chief counsel. And he had a hearing that morning with the First Lady, with First Lady Laura Bush. And I walked to his personal office from my office to take his briefing book. And I remember walking in, and colleagues said, "Wow, a plane has hit the World Trade Center." And we speculated whether the pilot had had a heart attack or what may have happened. I got back to my building, and I remember as the doors on the elevator were closing, I overheard two Capitol Police officers talking, and I distinctly remember hearing the word terrorism. My closest friend was working in Soho at that time, and I saw the second plane hit, and I called her, and I was lucky enough to get through, and I remember she was crying, and she had seen that happen. And I talked to her for a minute, and she said she was going to try and make her way home. And I hung up, and I looked at my staff, and I said, "We're getting out of here." We were overhearing things on radios. We felt like we heard or felt the ground shake. And one of my colleagues who lived on Capitol Hill invited us to go to her house. And we sat there and we watched the television for the rest of the day. And finally, that night, I made my way home. I lived in Northern Virginia, so I had to go past the Pentagon. The after effect for those of us working on Capitol Hill was a strong sense that the United States government had to show that it wasn't going to be shaken, that we were a strong country, that we would continue to do our work, that we would get to the bottom of what had happened, and that we would protect the nation and our people. And that meant that the next morning I was making my way across the 14th Street Bridge again, passing a burning and smoldering Pentagon to go to work. That sense of intense focus on issues of security, homeland security, immigration, kind of a shift in the way that people perceived immigration. It wasn't just an economic debate anymore. It ramped up considerably, and it has stayed at a heightened level. We, as a country, have never returned to a pre-9/11 period. The debate now and the issues and the concerns almost seem like they're part of the DNA of the country.